First item on the agenda is Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Item number 3, invocation by Commissioner Carabelli.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If we bow our heads, Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us engage in meaningful discussion on behalf of the residents of Macomb, and continue to remind us that all we do here today is for the residents of Macomb County. Please let us all keep the men and women and their families serving our great country in our prayers, and we are asking these things in your name, Lord Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Item number 4, adoption of the agenda. Need a motion to adopt. Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Hall. Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item 5, minutes dated October 17th, 2019. Need a motion to approve those. Commissioner Brown, supported by Commissioner Kleinfeld. Please vote. I was about to call you Drolet. I was looking at him and calling you.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item number 6, public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? Any members of the public wishing to speak? Third and final time. Close public participation. Item 7, correspondence. We don't have any new correspondence for today's meeting. Item 8, Finance Audit Budget Committee recommendations. I need a motion to adopt the 2019 Macomb County Apportionment Report as prepared by the Finance Department. Commissioner Kleinfeld, supported by Commissioner Drolet. Any conversation on this? All right, I don't have any speakers. Please vote.
Motion passes 9-0.
Thank you. Item 9, presentations. We have a possible solution for road funding by Senator Pete Lucido. Need a motion to receive and file first. Commissioner Carabelli, supported by Commissioner Drolet. Commissioner Lucido, or Commissioner Senator Lucido. I almost promoted you. You're up.
Thank you. I got it.
There you go.
I want to, first of all, thank the chair as well as the board for allowing me this opportunity to speak. It seems disingenuous if I did not come here and give you information that will be credible, but more importantly, necessary for you to talk to your own constituent base when you talk about roads in where you govern. And people that govern need to know that you have to have a solution and a plan. 45 cents when the governor ran for office was a non-starter. Most of us in Macomb County can't even afford our regular bills that are happening. I want to keep the politics out of it because a road is a road for Democrats and Republicans alike. It doesn't matter. You could be an independent. You can belong to any party you want, but we all have to have a road. In addition, a registration fee is a prerequisite for getting a plate and also your insurance to get on the road. So we're all paying a collateral cost every day we go ahead and do what we're doing, and that's putting our vehicles on the road. Now I want to talk a little logic, for instance. 1951 is when some road funding plan was instituted by the state legislature. And that road funding plan had gas tax and registration fees, among other things, thrown into it. So for the sake of brevity today, I want you to realize it's almost 70 years old. We're going to put a candle on it that says 70. And at the time, I want you to realize, and I'm really looking around the room, I don't think any of you really could actually say that you remember the roads, what they were back in 1951. And I'm not going to call anybody out based on age, but I'll call them out on memory, which is this. I can remember going up to Grand Blanc, and they had one lane on 75 going north and one coming back south. Then they expanded it to 2 lanes. Now, at the end of the day, think about this. We have lanes that are all over the place, 75, 94, 696, that are dealing with multiple lanes. And those lanes aren't getting funded the way you think they are. You're getting it on a lane, not lanes that are out there. Sure, they have long roads, which is many, many miles up north. But at the end of the day, let's look at per capita, which means how many people we have living in the Tri-County area. I only want to use the Tri-County area right now because I'm going to say to you, we will never fix the roads if we don't fix Public Act 51. It's a farce. It's an absolute farce to think that the roads can be fixed without fixing Public Act 51. Here's why. When you take a gas tax and you go ahead and put the tax and a fuel tax into Public Act 51, and you take a registration fee, is the gas tax and fuel tax going to be consistent for over the next 30 years? No. Why? Because gasoline goes up and down. Therefore, the tax on it goes up and down. In addition, we have alternative vehicles. We have hybrids, we have electronics, we have propane-operated vehicles, we have battery-operated vehicles, and I submit to you today, someday we will have solar-powered vehicles, just like the Jetsons once flew in the air. But again, you're still going to have to buy a registration fee, won't you? Anybody that wants to drive in this state, you're mandated. It is an absolute mandate to go ahead. You're going to have to buy a registration fee, which is your plate, your tab. And we buy it for 12 months at a time. And you can see in the last venture that was out there, back when some of you that served in the legislature on this board, that we had individuals that had brought to the voters in this state whether or not Prop 1 was acceptable. And the answer was no. It was overwhelmingly defeated to fund the roads. So then the legislature went ahead and gas taxed at 7.5% and went ahead and added about 30% on your registration fees. Now, the only true value you get on the registration fees is all the money goes to the roads. Every nickel of it. It doesn't go anywhere else. It's hard to believe, isn't it? So let's take a look at the registration fees. Well, let's look at Wayne County. They had in 1917 1,145,336 vehicles. That would mean cars and trucks, as well as cycles that were registered. Today, I submit to you, let's just round it up, it's about 1.3 million. Let's look at Oakland County, because they're next. They have roughly 1.2 million vehicles. And Macomb, well, we're inching along there. We've got somewhere north of 850,000 vehicles. I know in the Lucido family, I have 5 vehicles. 3 children that have cars, my wife and I. And every vehicle has a registration fee of roughly $220. So I want you to realize when you take almost 1 million vehicles here in Macomb County, and you take $200 of that, you're looking at their $200 million. We don't get that kind of money all year for the registration and the gas tax here in Macomb. We get $5 billion. It's 5.1 billion we get with the feds, the gas tax, the registration fees, all blended into one. It's all in this funnel and it comes down. No one understands it. No one can explain it. But I do know that the registration fees, if it's 200 million that we're bringing in from Macomb, Oakland's bringing in roughly about 220 million, and Wayne's bringing in about 240 million. Let's look at population for a moment. Southeast Michigan has the most densest population through the whole state. We have about 10.4 million people registered in the state, meaning bodies. At the end of the day, look at our traffic patterns. This is huge amount of traffic. I told you all about an insurance study that was done. Every one of you fill out your insurance application. It says, how many miles is it to your work? Which means, give us the address. We'll Google it or MapQuest it. At the end of the day, it tells you exactly how many miles you drive from your home to your work, from your work to your home. I'm going to tell you the truth. They do that because if you're on the road longer and have more time on the road, there's a higher propensity for an accident. I mean, it's just logic, common sense. I hope we're all keeping that today, because today I realize that the insurance industry, if you believe their statistical data, says we drive 20 to 25 mile road, 20 to 25 miles to and from our work every day. When I ran my law firm over in Clinton Township, I would drive from Shelby to Clinton. It was 4.5 miles and back home 4.5 miles. Now, I submit to you, we're creatures of habit. And that's a good thing. We buy our homes where our work is, or we buy our work where our home is. We try at least. It's less gas, less wear and tear. It also has an economic reality of time that is all precious to us. The road plan that we currently have in place will never get changed. Do you know why? It's because the up north people will realize less by changing anything in Public Act 51 to give to the benefit of Southeast Michigan. It's true. And I wouldn't want to go home to my constituents and say, guess what I did? I gave Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, Genesee, and Kent County more money today, and I did a good thing. Because they'd wonder, their road commission, why in the hell did you give it to them? I'm telling you now, when you get past Bay City, you all know it, those roads are perfect. There's nothing to talk about. Blemish, we have bridges falling down. The governor's made a big statement about it, saying we have infrastructure issues in the Tri-County area. When I got elected to the legislature, I didn't know anything about Public Act 51. All I knew is that our roads needed repair and that money was needed. We all did, every one of us. Now, when you go up there, they put me on transportation. It was one of the committees that I had. And I started learning about, well, where does the money come from? And how is it getting funded? And how much do we get down in Macomb County? And how many cars do you have? Because you're doing an analysis. At the end of the day, registration fees kept in the county on which they were paid in, which means where you're registering your home, your vehicle, should be kept in that county. Why? If I'm only driving 20 to 25 miles, I'm wearing my road out every day, going back and forth. I have two bills that have been submitted to the state Senate. Senate Bill 27, that deals exclusively with keeping the registration fees in the county in which they were collected. It is as simple as that. Every dollar, keep it in Macomb. We will go ahead and fix our roads. Our executive said that we need $2 billion to fix our roads. I don't want to dispute it. If he's got an engineering degree and knows what it's going to cost and an accounting degree, so be it. Or has experts that are going to implore that those are the numbers. What I do know is that if it's not enough money, how do you bring more money to Macomb without taxing anyone? Well, hear me out. 45 cents was a non-starter. I heard it's for discussion purposes. I really don't know. But when I went to see the governor, it was the day the state was closed, where she said, there's a state of emergency, we're closing it down. And I said, I have an appointment with you. I'd like to still make that appointment if you'd allow me. And she did. She was very, gracious in having me into her office with her policy people. She even let me make this presentation that I'm making to you today. I showed her the insurance surveys that were, how many miles do you have to drive to and from your work? We have a statistical number that proves how many of the 7,700,000 vehicles that are registered in the state, how far they drive based on their insurance data. So what did you say, Pete? 7,700,000 vehicles registered. But you just told us that Wayne, Oakland, Macomb make up almost half of that. Oh, yeah, I did. So then why are we getting less than the rest of the state? And why has it been going on for 70 years? Almost. It's because the legislature, if they did take it up for a vote, we would have the votes in the state house and in the Senate. You can ask any of the legislators that are here, the ones that support what's going on. They're supporting it because they can't give a great answer to the people that put them in office. And this is disingenuous because at the end of the day, I don't care who you are, we're all on the roads and it's an epidemic down here. And it's not felt like it is up north. I look at this Public Act 51 and I said, we've changed so many laws over the years. Why is this so difficult when we know it's disingenuous to the taxpayers that are actually bringing the money up to Lansing to give back to people in this state. We got the population. Because of this, they won't take it up for a vote in the House or in the Senate because they can't go home and tell them that they took home less money. Simple as that. That's how easy this is. Why? Because they wouldn't be representing their constituents the way they should. By getting more money, it means that you're doing a great job. I'm doing a lousy job if I don't tell you there needs to be a ballot initiative. I'm doing a lousy job if you don't tell the people you serve that that's the only way to change it. And I'm asking myself, well, wait a minute. This is not an initiative government takes on. No, it's not, because we can't use taxpayers' money for a ballot initiative. But what we can do is educate the voters out there. What we can do is ask our road builders if they build roads in the west part of Michigan or up north part of Michigan. They are building roads in our own backyard, every single one of these. And they tell me that, hey, we wish we had more skilled trade ready to go. If they can pass a drug test, they're hired, I hear. That's what they tell me. But at the end of the day, why am I here? I'm asking for your help. I'm asking for your support, not just a resolution. I want more than that from you. You see, you are in the same position I am, an elected official. You were entrusted with a vote of the people to do what's necessary, not to fix the roads just in your own communities, but also to say, is it safe for them to travel outside of their communities on these roads that are falling apart? So in closing and in brief, I would like you to help me put together a ballot initiative that we can bring to the voters, because we do have the votes that way. It goes ahead then, and it can never be changed without 2/3 of the Senate and 2/3 of the House of Representatives, which will never be done, and here's why. We have the votes in Southeast Michigan, and you're not going to have the majority in the Upper Peninsula. And for those that have sat in the legislature, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Because if they did put it on the board, it'd be an easy vote for all of us in Macomb, Democrat, Republican. Change it. We deserve it after 70 years. We've been taking it on the chin. I submit to you, we have the most vehicle traffic that is registered in this state. Now, I gave you 2 handouts. I want to make sure, for purposes of this video today, this is the first one that I did, an editorial for the Detroit News. And I got a lot of feedback. The second one is actually an actual breakdown. These are the numbers. And those numbers are as follows. Public Act 51 amended by Senate Bill 27 would bring us $185 million. This is based on just under 1 million vehicles that are registered in Macomb County. Public Act currently gets us about 122 million. That's $63 million. Who wouldn't want a pay raise of $63 million to fix the roads? Here's the other thing. I didn't touch the gas tax. That's Senate Bill number 28. I didn't touch it for this reason. If you're going to have a storm come, that would cause a storm. Gas tax is sprinkled around under Public Act 51. Let's take one bite of the apple at a time so we don't choke on the piece. Let's take Public Act 51 and change only by ballot initiative Senate Bill 27, which is registration fees. The rest will fall in line. And I got to believe there will be a big discussion if they see that the ballot initiative is there, they see that the votes are there in Southeast Michigan. The first thing they're going to want to do is negotiate and say, can we change this by legislation? Because I'm really fearful that you're going to take a lot of money away from us. They've been doing it to us for 70 years. Isn't it about time we get our share? Isn't it about time our executive from Macomb, our executive from Wayne, our executive from Oakland sit in a room together and said, how do we serve our constituent base of our counties best? Isn't it about time that our county commissioners from Wayne, Oakland, Macomb, how about also St. Clair County? Thank you for being here today. Kent County, wherever else we're all around. And here's why. They all will do better. And isn't that what we're supposed to do? Because up north, they've been saying that for years. We're doing better by taking more money. I'm tired of somebody trying to tell me that I got to change Public Act 51. I am one person in the legislature with one vote. But I'm not tired of asking for help, my partners in the county commission. Those partners from Wayne and Oakland, too. They're partners of mine because they're going to serve the base of the state. Now, I could go on, but I know you're very busy. And at the same time, I think you have enough to open up the discussion. Mr. Chairman, if it's possible, I'd like to answer anything I can before I leave here today.
We have a few people on the list.
Thank you.
Commissioner Haw.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Senator, for presenting this. As you're aware, we heard the same discussion, almost the same discussion at Hot Topics in Politics this afternoon, and you eloquently presented the same position then. It was kind of surprising the back and forth that took place. As you're aware, Public Act 51 has been a discussion up in Lansing. I served on the Transportation Committee by Governor Granholm back then, and we came in and said Public Act 51 had to be changed. I believe Marilyn Lane worked on it 4 years later and came in and said Public Act 51 had to be changed. For all the reasons you've given, mostly north-south, and how one would acquire funds but one would lose funds, if a ballot initiative is successful, and I have a follow-up to that even, how would that change, or how would that force change up in Lansing?
Well, number one, the funding mechanism now would be still Public Act 51, only we would cut out, by a ballot initiative, the registration fees and exclusively leave them in the 83 counties on which we have in the state. In addition, the formula that we would use then for our own counties, we would then tweak the cities and the townships and also the villages, how they are funded. So that discussion goes even further, which we don't have time today. But again, to your point, if those discussions were had back when you were in the legislature under Governor Granholm, again, when Ms. Lane was in the legislature under Governor Schneider, you know and I know that the chairs will never take up a bill that's going to be disingenuous to their own constituent base. And you know and I know that the only way to change anything is to go around it constitutionally and do a ballot initiative. And after you do that, that'll never get changed again up there because the votes are all from the areas that need the money. Now, what will that do to those counties up there? I don't know how that's going to impact them. They do their roads a lot different than we do down here in southeast Michigan. They use a lot of blacktop, and you can't pour that after November 1st because they won't allow you to put blacktop on and do it after November 1st. That's the law. But what I do know is that we use a lot of concrete and compactable sand and engineered this and that for these highways. And it will not really take a huge effect on that because we get federal dollars there where we don't get them sitting here in southeast Michigan on our county roads, our city roads, as well as our township roads. And we've got townships that probably are larger than cities sitting around here, don't we, in Clinton Township. So at the end of the day, I'm only caring about the people I serve, and that's this. If you keep getting taken advantage of for 70 years, do you wait another 70 and keep hearing the discussions? Or do you fund the damn roads the way we should have by changing 51, getting the right money to the right areas where it's bleeding out?
So I believe I heard you said Senate Majority Leader Shirkey and House Leader Chatfield would, you don't think, support this initiative?
I don't know if Senator Shirkey would support it. I do know that I went to both chairs in the House, both chairs in the Senate. That would be the Appropriations Chair as well as the Policy Chair, and asked if I could get a hearing. Senator Barrett in the Senate said, I may give you a hearing on this because I'd like to hear the discussion topic. Representative O'Malley from the House said, not interested. He's from up north.
You had indicated, I believe, 3-4 years ago, an initiative to acquire the interest on the uninsured motorist fund. Many thought that was a great idea. I thought it had tremendous media support. I believe at that time the fund was about $22 billion. I'm only assuming it's more since recently the rates went up again. What happened to that, Senator?
The
I almost
17,000
said
claimants.
Pete, and I didn't want to make that mistake.
17,000 claimants that are in the fund. The way the statute's written, you'd have to have every claimant exhausted, which means they'd have to be dead or not collecting on it anymore. And I don't know how you do that unless you're dead, because we've been paying out. And from that, it's now at $24 billion. And yes, I believed at the time of looking at our budget and looking where we had to do things like a family does it or a business does it, you draw from the fund the interest only, not the principal. Use it to fix the roads because it's causing catastrophic injuries. It was a perfect, common sense approach to fixing the roads and not having to tax people. If you're going to keep taxing them, what's their incentive to stay? And with all due respect, Commissioner Hall, I do believe that we can do it with the registration fees because we don't have the workforce, the talent and workforce just yet, nor do we have the aggregate readily available. I'm told this from our road builders. And I asked the road builders, would you be willing to put skin in the game and help us out with the fees and the cost and the expenses with a ballot initiative? And they said, of course. It's to our pecuniary interest.
Thank you, Senator.
Thank you,
Mr. Chair.
Appreciate the questions.
Thank you. Commissioner Kleinfeld.
Thank you, Chair. I'll be brief. I'm in an unusual situation here. I just wanted to give you this so that you know, because I don't know where it's going. I don't know if it'll be a resolution or if we're actually going to, get involved with the initiative as each individual county commissioner. But as chair of the Michigan Association of Counties this year, when we got our platform, the platform indicated any new revenue must go through Act 51. So I had a meltdown. I got the board to take it out of the platform, and then it went back to the Transportation Committee, and then I had a conference call with them. They're all rural. Most of the ones that sit on my board are rural, and everybody on transportation is rural. And so there was kind of an agreement struck that with regard to our platform, and I was thinking, boy, I wish you guys were legislators right now. They recognized the situation and would agree that any new revenue could go outside of Act 51 to go to the roads that are in the worst condition. In exchange, I wouldn't fight to their position that Act 51 itself should stay in place. So I kind of cut a deal to get our platform changed. I just wanted you to know that because I don't know where it's going to go. And I think that's only with respect to my position this year on MAC. But I just kind of wanted to throw that information at you just so if something goes funny, you know why with me.
I appreciate the fact that you actually had that dialogue, and it pretty much dovetails into what I just gave you as a commissioner. This balancing act between rural and non-rural has been going on for years. And no one is willing, because of, like you just said, there is a majority of the vote from the rural area. They have no incentive changing something that is being given to them. And I wouldn't either. Truth be told, I don't fault them for wanting what they're getting. I fault myself for not working around them. And that ballot initiative is the way you do it, which brings them to the table and says, you know what? They do have a solid argument. They have the money down in Southeast Michigan. They have the vehicles down in Southeast Michigan. They have the largest need because everybody comes to Southeast Michigan when they want to go see a ball game or a football game or basketball game now. Guess what? Wayne Oakland Macomb has been getting cheated. Yes, I use that word cheated. And it's about time we stop and said, if we have half the vehicles almost in the state, in 5 counties, why are we getting half? We're not. But I appreciate the fact that you have done that, and I appreciate your service working with MAC and being the president, and at the end of the day, saying to yourself, how do we benefit out of this deal? So thanks for being open.
Right, and just one quick thing, and I'll relinquish. One of the fights I made to them was, where do you think your money's coming from? Because you know what they said? Oh, you want us to give more money to Detroit, which was so offensive to me. I said, where do you think your money's coming from? If we lose all of our businesses because they can't drive on our roads, what do you think is going to happen to the money up there in rural Michigan? So that's one of the arguments I I used. Just wanted to let you know that. And thank you for coming. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Great
Thank you.
question.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Brown.
Thank you. Thank you, Senator Lucille, for coming. My senator, appreciate you up here.
Thank you. My commissioner.
Hey,
Thank you.
Very good. You're doing a fine job, and just like you did with auto insurance reform, pushing the envelope, demanding change, trying to tax sacred cows, because you can't get into that fund. That fund's untouchable. Look where we are now. We got the legislature to act, and we have some insurance reform on the books, and it may not be perfect, but we're moving the ball forward. I totally support your concept of a voter referendum to push this issue forward. By simply putting this on as a referendum, and the people are getting behind it, and it will pass in Southeast. It'll pass because Southeast Michigan, Kent County, the west side of the state wants it. It will pass because we'll put it on there. But that'll drive the legislature to act, and it may create a solution that may be better than $63 million more dollars than Macomb County. My district is kind of in the worst shape of all because my district's largely rural. I've got more miles of gravel road than paved road in my district. But as a result of the fundings, we're caught. It's $1 million a mile to pave a road. It's probably more than that. That number is from about 4 years ago. $63 million more in road would help our county take care of a lot of problems. And
Plus,
how about
we would also get the gas tax too. I don't want to mislead you. This is just registration fee 63. Imagine what the gas tax is going to be.
It'll be large numbers, huge numbers. And imagine this, how about someday we actually have money in the state budget to expand M53 Expressway all the way to 69 instead of having bottlenecks going north and south. Guess what that helps? It helps everyone in the south and in the north. And it would work for everyone's advantage to create economic corridors that are connected by fast-moving roads for a change and not be stuck in these two-lane roads. There was some administration some years ago that didn't want to fund the roads because they thought it would help retard growth and slow down growth and keep growth in the cities. Well, that was a failed policy. It's shown that. But I totally support what you're calling for as the initiative because who doesn't want more money for our roads? And why shouldn't it come here? This is where we live.
You know what? To everybody's point, that are making solid arguments, and I appreciate it, Mr. Chairman, that you're giving me this opportunity because I don't know where else to go. I have literally exhausted my resources and wits' end at the legislative process in this, and it becomes more than political, it becomes territorial. So if politics have to deal with territory, as Commissioner Brown has indicated, so be it. But at the end of the day, I'm coming here hand in hand and saying, we are partners. At least I think we are. My agreement with you is to serve whatever it is through my constituent base all the way down to my local level, which are my county commissioners. I need your help. And I think the other legislators that are here today need your help because I do not want to hear one ever time coming back to this county, it's your job to change Public Act 51. I can't, and it won't. And it's solidified by the base of up north, and you can't change it. So let's get real. You don't have to change it. You go to the ballot. That changes it for us. How much are you talking about, Pete? Well, it depends on who you ask and what day it is. But at the end of the day, we have to get signatures. At the end of the day, we have to educate. And at the end of the day, we have to get the force out there to say, it's done. I wouldn't want to see both bills get passed, 27 and 28. If we did, I think we would ruin the up north people. And I think to Commissioner Kleinfeld's point, what's a bucket of water then if we're already going to drown? You take away the money that we bring to Southeast Michigan, from Southeast Michigan to the north, they don't have a road to fix anymore because the money's not there. It's a real catchy situation. We can go ahead and catch the wave and said, we got it done for our people here at home. Let's see how this works for the next few years. Only for this. 70 years is too long to wait. Another 70 is impossible. We can't.
Commissioner, but Senator, you have the right idea. No one needs to punish the North. There's enough money in this state to fix everyone's roads if it's done right, if it's allocated properly. This just resets the allocation of existing revenue to the places where it's needed the most. This is not about punishing someone else. And by this initiative, guess what? They're going to find other money to supplement. If they need more money to take care of other parts of the state, they'll find the money to do it. But this isn't about also gets, it's just about restating the formula through another way, by letting the public decide, to go around the legislative process, because they haven't been able to get it done. And for whatever reason, the political roadblocks, whatever it is, but it can be fixed. And we can do it. It can't be driven by the public. And we don't need, it's not solving a problem saying, guess what, we're going to give the local counties the ability to raise taxes on their own to keep it in their own county. We don't need more taxes. We need the money that's already being taxed already applied to where it's needed the most, which is where the people are, where the more lane miles are, right down here. So project any calls up there about trying to pass laws that give us the ability to tax ourselves more than we already are, because that's a mistake.
Yeah, I was a no on those two bills that went through the House when I served in the House, the one that gas tax and the registration. But I will say this, to your point, I want to say that if we got the money where it's mostly needed, the governor herself and her foresight saw that it was going to be a no, because I made sure she realized it with my leader. I'm a no on any new tax unless you fix 51. You don't fix 51, you got no vote. I can't keep giving more and more and getting less back home. And not one person would do that if they thought about how this works. Put the people in a position that says, well, we have to fix the roads, Pete. We have to fix the roads after we fix 51. Because if 51 is sustainable, the only way you're going to do it is change it. And I told you how. When I go ahead and hear a gas tax of those kind of numbers, I'm buying an electric car. I'm buying a battery-operated car. I ain't paying no tax.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Thank you, Senator Lucido, for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you. Senator, I'm the last one on the list here, and I just want to say thank you for coming down here. This seems like an idea that should have come out a long time ago, right? I mean, we keep hearing that you guys should do your job up there.
I have never heard a ballot initiative since I've been born.
Right.
Never about this Public Act 51.
So I've heard
But again, I hear that other legislators have talked about it. I don't know where they gotten with it. Putting a bill in, I went through the bill request, every single one of them. And I didn't find one bill that says I want a modified 51 that says keep the registrations in the county in which they were collected. This is a common sense approach, no bones about it. I want it done.
There's still a lot of work to do, obviously. And
Sure
we've talked
is.
with Leon about that, and Leon's been a former legislator that was in charge of many ballot initiatives, so we've talked a little bit about that. I want to say that I like the idea that you kept the gas tax intact, because it still gives the outstate and the up north communities a little extra than their share. So, I mean, it does kind of, it would seem like that might ease some of the pain of this. It seems like it makes sense. I mean, I've talked to a bunch of people about it, and I'm trying to find the flaws, right? You always try to find the flaws, but the thing is, with no new tax, it's hard to disagree with this plan.
And to your point, Chairman, at the end of the day, if I can save those individuals that we all represent more money in their pocket, rebase the existing funds that we currently are bringing in, even after the increase in registration fees, because that occurs every year on your birthday, and look at then for 3 to 5 years maybe, how's this working out? Like you said, don't touch the gas tax, because once you swing one ball, the other balls start to move. I want to take one ball away, keep it in the 83 counties, and at the end of the day, when I see that we have the gross amount of vehicles that are registered, why shouldn't we get our gross amount share? Thank you.
Okay, lastly is, we have former legislators on our board, and we have some more in the county, and you very rarely hear from them to do your job, because they realize that it was something that if it could be done, it would be done. And you've explained why it can't be done. I've had it explained to me a million times, and quite honestly, we've had plenty of people want to change this. We're just in the wrong area to change this. So I appreciate you coming down here. Oh, Marv jumped in here, so Marv, you can get the last word in. Welcome.
Thanks for coming, Senator. Nice seeing you.
Nice seeing you, Marv.
I'm just curious, will they ever get back to getting the weights on the highways back to normal like they used to be? Because I was behind a big semi the other day on blacktop, and he had to put on them air brakes. So he's going like this, and then you look back, and there's the the blacktop wavy, so that'll stay the same for quite a while. Somebody's got to come back with it. I remember when it was taken away, then they used to have the weight station there north of 23 Mile Road. Then the trucks diverted and tried to come down Gratiot and M97 to get away from weighing their trucks. When will that ever come back to pass again?
I'll try to be brief in my response. Thank you for the question. You got this argument. The engineers are the ones that'll tell you that when the wheels go up, that means it has less weight. When the wheels go down, that means it has more weight. They claim that it somehow balances the amount of weight that makes it consistent with other states. Then the argument becomes, now, since we have double the weight of Ohio, does that mean we have to have 2 drivers, 2 trucks, 2 car insurance, or 2 truck insurances, 2 sets of tires, and more importantly, more gas, which ultimately at the end is, if this creates this on the roads, is it going to go back to the consumer and pay double the price for the good because of all this? I don't know what the argument is. I have to rely on MDOT, which Mr. Ejeba, Paul Ejeba, good man, he's running our MDOT, Michigan Department of Transportation. He said, Pete, it's not 45 cents. It's actually 80 cents we need more a gallon. You do that, there's no reason to stay in this state anymore. You might as well leave because it's getting out of control. But to your point about the weights, I don't know how many sessions that I've been involved with the legislature, except for the 2 terms I served in the House, 4 years total. There's been a bill in each and every time to have that discussion. It's not been taken up by anybody. And I can't because I'm not the chairman. I can only take up the bills that I chair over.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Senator Lucido, thank you very much for your presentation.
Appreciate not only your time, Mr. Chairman, but the board's time, and also the legislators that are in this room and the people that want to hear the truth about why you have to change 51 before you fix the damn roads. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. We have motion on the floor. Please vote.
That passes 12 to 0.
Motion passes. Item number 10, new business. Any commissioners have any new business? We'll have another chance in another meeting. No new business. Public participation. Any members of the public wishing to speak? Any members of the public wishing to speak? Seeing no members of the public wishing to speak, we'll close. Motion to adjourn. Moved by Commissioner Romano, supported by Commissioner Kraft.
I'll get you some more water.
Please vote. Meeting adjourned. We will be back in, Mike, how long? 5 minutes? 5 minutes for GovOps.